Good morning. I'm Joanne Wong, Director of Corporate Services at the Greater New England Minority Supplier Development Council. Thanks so much for taking the time to be here today for our government contracting webinar series. So I'm going to turn it over to Gary Stifler, who is going to introduce William Randolph, our speaker. Gary is our Director of MBE Growth and Development.
Well, good morning again, everyone. Again, thank you, as Joanne mentioned, for joining us in this first of four series on the federal procurement contracting. Today, you're going to hear from William Randolph. William is a veteran and over 20 years experience with the government procurement office. And William has held various roles within the procurement office. And I think you'll find him very helpful in helping provide you a roadmap over the coming sequences of this webinar series and helping you navigate the government process. Just a couple housekeeping issues before we get started. We are recording this session and it will be uploaded to our G&E MSDC YouTube page. The presentation will also be shared following the conclusion of the event. And we ask that since we have a large number of attendees and we have plenty of ample time for questions, to please use the raise hand function so that you can unmute and ask your questions directly to William at that point in time. So with that, I'd like to now turn it over to William.
All right, thank you so very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. And we're going to talk about teaming arrangements, subcontracting, and partnerships. This is the first of our government contracting webinar series for the G&E MSDC. So I am greatly honored to be with you today. So let's get going. So I want to do a little bit of brief introduction. As Gary said earlier, I am a retired federal government contracting officer and senior procurement executive. After a little bit of time in the United States Navy, right out of high school, I came out GI Bill in hand, grabbed an undergrad degree, and started with the federal government in 1995. And during the course of that time, had a pretty good career, over the next 25 years or so. I retired in 2016 as a senior executive member. I did the consulting thing around the DC metro area, Washington, DC metro area for a few years after I retired. And then I founded my own training and development and business development company in 2019. And today in March, I have the opportunity to be with you today. So I'm really appreciative. I want to say thank you. Thank you to the G&E MSDC for their mission, their role, the things that they are responsible for doing and things they're doing to help the community in the 6 New England states. It's really an amazing mission and an amazing contribution. So I just want to say thank you and glad to be a part of it. All right, let's dive in. I want to put a little bit of USA spending data just to give you a sense of the opportunity that is government contracting. So here we are. Last year, fiscal year 22, government-wide, $692 billion worth of spend. Okay? Contracts. So this is contracts spend, not grants, not any payments, pure contract spend. 692 billion was the universe of contract spend in the federal government last year. The G&E MSDC states, okay, the 6 states, of that 692 billion, 46.4 billion of that was spent in the 6 Greater New England states. Okay, that's a significant piece, over 10%. Excuse me, approaching 10%, getting close to 10%, excuse me. So let's look at individually the states. Here is Vermont, a little over $500 million worth of spend. Here is Rhode Island, 1.2 billion in 22. Here is New Hampshire, 1.7 billion in FY22. Here is Maine, 2.7 billion contract spend in fiscal year 22. Massachusetts, 17, significant jump, 17.9 billion. And then we round out the sixth with Connecticut with $22.3 billion worth of contract spend last year. Now, once you see your top 10 agencies, sub-agency spend, you'll get a sense of why Connecticut is doing what it's doing. And look at the Department of the Navy spend. Over 25 billion of that 46 billion was in the Department of the Navy. DoD has a large presence in your top 10 spend in the region. So Navy, Air Force, Army, DLA, okay. Top 4, Defense Logistics Agency. The top 4, military, DoD activity. So if you're thinking about where to go, where's the magnet? I always talk about where's the magnet. That's where the magnet is. Let's talk a little bit more about the magnet. One of the things that I want you to think about when you think about federal government contracting is that it is so different from the commercial environment. In the commercial environment, the participants, the industry participants in the commercial environments, they have to do demand creation. You know, what do I mean by demand creation? They have to educate the populace that they need the goods and services that those industries are bringing to the marketplace. They have to create the demand, marketing and branding. And while some version of marketing and branding is necessary in the government contracting space, demand creation is not a thing in the federal government, or at least it's a small thing. There's a very small sliver of activity where companies are bringing new and innovative technology to the federal government. It's a big magnet. Rather, it's a huge magnet. Again, last year, $692 billion worth of spend. And that happens year after year after year after year. 692 has been the largest, okay, but it's been over 580 billion for the last 6 or 7 years. There's not a great need for demand creation in that environment because demand capture is what's necessary. The demand is already there. You just have to go find it. There is a formula. Okay? I believe there is a secret formula, just like the formula to Big Mac sauce or Coca-Cola. There is a secret formula for government contracting growth. It is. Why that formula is important, look no further than the executive order 13985 that was signed by President Biden back in January of 21. The goal is to triple the small disadvantaged business goal from 5 to 15% by 2025. Triple it. If we use today's numbers, the 5%, today's numbers, that 15% will equal over $100 billion. That's why we need to know the secret. We have to be ready for that. If it's coming, we've got to be ready for the tripling. And again, using today's numbers, that 2025 number would equate to over $100 billion worth of contract spend. So what's the formula, colleagues? Subcontracting, teaming, and partnerships. Subcontracting, teaming, and partnerships. These three strategies are some of the government contracting most effective strategies in terms of building a business, pursuing opportunities, scaling an opportunity, growing a business, to pursue opportunities that you may not be able to pursue on your own. You get to box above. The people talk about in boxing is people punch above their weight. Okay. Subcontracting, teaming, and partnerships allow you to punch above your weight. Let's talk about the three and let's make the distinctions between them. Number one, subcontracting. Subcontracting is defined by a prime and sub relationship. Someone's pursuing work and someone's joining the team, the execution team, after it's awarded, or positions itself in anticipation of award, but it's defined by a prime on the top and a sub relationship on the bottom. Now, why do I say top and bottom? Is because the government has the contractual relationship with the prime, and that the prime will then have subcontracting relationships with all the subs. The prime sub relationship that defines subcontracting. Second strategy is teaming. Teaming is a group of individuals with specific responsibilities. Think about IT solution. Someone may have the hardware solution, someone may have the software solution, someone may have the personnel solution, someone may have the R&D solution. That's a team. Everyone may not be able to overlap and do the same thing. So the team, putting a team together, group of individuals, individual companies with specific responsibilities. The third version is the partnership. Okay? And the partnership is a new entity made up of previous individuals. Okay? So former individuals, or maybe still individuals, but they decide to come together and create a new thing, a new partnership, a new entity, a joint venture. Those are the distinctions between the three. Now, please know there are pros and cons. I believe, and the data in the contracting data suggests that collaborations are a valuable strategy. It's a unique benefit to access new markets, technology, and to share risk and resources. Very valuable. What comes along with that, though, is some opportunities for challenges. Okay? When you're working with complex relationships and policies, procurement process, performance strategies, deliverables, various deliverables, it takes a unique set of skills to perform as a sub-teaming partner or partnership. But in my opinion, it is well worth it. The pros outweigh the cons. This is a growth strategy, teaming, subcontracting, and partnerships. And it also gives you insight, a peek behind the curtain to the prime, who is doing the activity. It's the practice. It's an opportunity to practice becoming a prime. That's the most important value proposition, okay? It's practice for becoming a prime. You can get a front row seat into what it looks like to be a prime, as being a sub, if you have that relationship with your teaming partner, sub partner, or partnership joint venture. So let's talk about some challenges that one may encounter when pursuing collaborations. Again, don't want to paint the all rosy picture. We want to take the rose-colored glasses off and recognize what the opportunities are, but what are the things you need to be prepared for? Okay, number one is finding the right partner. Okay, complementary skills, expertise, and capability, very valuable proposition for partnering, teaming, and subcontracting. Having solid partnership agreements. Okay, gentlemen and gentle lady agreements are fine. But I remember very early in my career, one of my bosses told me that people forget, paper remembers. Okay, people forget, paper remembers. So having good partnership agreements, very valuable. Managing the expectations of all the various partners and participants. Expectations suggest early in advance of. So don't wait until the contract's awarded to then have a conversation about roles and expectations. Okay. The conversation gets charged and energized as soon as you win something. Now you're talking about something real. So have those expectation and role discussions well before the money gets on the table. Clear communication and collaboration, having open lines of communication, understanding what the collaboration between the parties looks like. Very valuable, very valuable. Addressing potential conflicts of interest, okay? When you think about partnering, making sure that there's two people assigned for the same activity, or that one person is doing an activity precludes them from doing something else. If that does occur, that's not saying that will never occur, but have those communication and collaboration channels open so that they are capable of being leveraged. Confidentiality, papering your deals, papering your agreement to protect proprietary information as well as unique subject matter content. Intellectual property, agreements, patents. Think about those things as you enter the partner. Don't wait until the situation arises. Think about them ahead of time. Number 7, have to make sure that there is compliance with applicable small business regulations. There's a contract clause called the limitation of subcontracting. So if you're partnering with someone that has received a set-aside contract, please know that that limitation, that FAR clause, that limitation of subcontracting clause says that the person that satisfies the entity that satisfies the set-aside has to do at least 50% of the work. People talk about this middleman contracting strategy. That's a bunch of malarkey. Okay? That'll get you in trouble where you think you can just subcontract off 90, 95% of the work. Okay. Especially if you're in a subcontracting environment that has a set-aside component to it, socioeconomic small business category, women-owned, service-disabled, veteran, 8A, disadvantaged, hub zone. If you satisfy those criteria to earn the contract, then the entity that earned the set-aside has to do at least 50% of the work. Just be mindful of that. Pricing and profit sharing. Have those conversations before the contract award. It gets a lot harder to do after the fact. Okay, so do those activities when pursuing collaborations, making sure that you've done good pricing work, and that you have your agreements on profit sharing in place with the partners. Don't wait until after the contract's awarded. It gets exponentially harder then. Number 8, managing the risk of non-performance and non-compliance. Okay? There are bad actors out there. Okay? While I believe in government contracting, that everyone is here to do an amazing job and do exceptionally well, exceptional work. There are bad actors out there. We just have to be mindful of that. And then addressing issues. Whenever the issues come up, people love to talk about the wedding. Okay? People rarely talk about the divorce. They rarely plan for the divorce. Lots of planning goes into the wedding. But when there's terminations, dissolutions, renegotiations of partnership agreements, those are the separations and divorces. So put as much planning and effort into thinking about the rainy day as you do the sunny day. Think about that stuff ahead of time. I don't say fixate on it, but be prepared. Be prepared. All right. Those are some some challenges that may be encountered, but there are ways to address those. So just do the homework. Teaming, subcontracting, and partnerships agreements, common strategies, okay? But it can be used to overcome complex challenges with regulations, access to information, and can be a unique and extremely valuable tool to increase your competitive advantage. How you go into the marketplace, going as one or going as many. Okay? The government rarely cares, and they're not necessarily interested in 20 subcontractors, unless it's something monumental. So there's always a risk assessment that goes along with the number of subcontractors. But if the project is big enough, that's expected. But it absolutely can increase your competitive advantage and your competitive standing in the marketplace. So compete well, team, subcontract, and partner well. Okay, so let's recap. Subcontracting, relationships with a prime. Prime does the hunting. Subcontractors come in and are there to help deliver. Maybe bringing unique expertise and capability to the team. Of valued importance. Subcontractors happens all the time. And it's a really great growth strategy. And for some, it's a quite dynamic business strategy. I have a client today that all they do is subcontracting. That's all they do. They wait for the winner to be selected. They don't try to run the horse races. They wait until the race is over and see who wins. And they've been building relationships along the time, and then they reach out to the winner and say, hey, if there's an opportunity on your team, we'd love to come tell you about our capability. They've built a pretty nice business. We've got 20, 25 employees. And that's about a $4.5–5 million business, strictly doing subcontracting, never pursued a prime contract at all. It's a unique strategy, but a lucrative one. Teaming, okay? Sharing resources, mitigating risk, and expanding reach. That's the value proposition of putting team together. A group of individuals that maintain their individualism, but they are combined and they go to the market as team. And then the partnership, the creme de la creme is the partnership. Joint ventures happen all the time. There's even some language now that has been approved by joint ventures that when joint ventures get together, they get to share the past performance of the joint venture. So the new entity gets the aggregate amalgam past performance of the individual participants. That's the value proposition. Not to mention the ownership and collaborative structures that go along with formal papered partnerships and joint ventures. All right, so here are 5 things. I want to get tactical. I want you to have 5 things that can make as you think about teaming and subcontracting, I'm going to give you 5 things that will make you more competitive. Number 1, a strong track record of past performance, either as individuals or your company. Companies are looking for strong past performance. It's a critical component to the contracting model, to the government contracting model, is the assessment of past performance. So past performance is of vital importance. unique, not just past performance, but unique capabilities and expertise. If you have unique capabilities and expertise, everybody in your space will be looking for you. You can articulate a unique value proposition that has unique capability and expertise, something that sets yourself apart. Skills, technologies, approaches, employees, human capital. You've got something unique, then the folk in your space will be beating down your door. Financial stability and resources. Okay. And that is measured and scaled based on the maturity of your business, but businesses that are based on a sound financial footing are more attractive for teaming, subcontracting, and partnership opportunities. Strong relationships with government customers. This is where I've seen small businesses have the most value add contributions to teaming, subcontracting, and partnerships. Okay. This is the currency. This is the capital that many small businesses can bring to the fight. That they have relationships. They have relationships. Small businesses can take the very focused time and energy to build relationships, have brand recognition, and then bringing those to their larger group be very valuable in a source selection strategy, in a pursuit and business development opportunity. And number 5, complementary culture and values. In terms of a service value, a service culture, happens a lot. If you have like-minded owners, you have like-minded CEOs, like-minded companies, you tend to have like-minded cultures. You're in a position to serve. Okay. Service over salaries, compensation. You'll be surprised how complementary cultures and values can contribute to your business development activities. Okay. So concluding, okay, we need each other. I'm a small business myself. I'm a government contractor myself. And I know that the large businesses and even the small businesses, because I subcontract all the time, we need each other. It's a collaborative effort. Large businesses doing work in the government contracting space often, like more often than not, have subcontracting goals that they have to satisfy. In their contracts, 20, 25, 30, 33% of their contract must. They must use small businesses. So they're looking for you. They're looking for you. Small businesses, even small businesses that are winning, while they don't winning work inside of federal government, while they don't necessarily have, or they don't have small business subcontracting goals on their contracts, they do have time that works against them. I've seen it time and time again in my 26-year career that the contracts team that was proposed is not the same team that's available to deliver 2, 3, 4, 5 months later once the contract is awarded. That's a prime opportunity to reach out to those small businesses and say, hey, we do this type of work, we have this type of capability. Congratulations on your win. If your team is not the same team and you need to fill some holes on your team, I'd love to have a conversation with you. It's a partnership. We need each other. We need each other. Capability is what will find opportunities for you. Capability, it is your business capability that will find the opportunities, the doors for you to walk through. Collaboration will help you unlock them. Collaboration will help you unlock them. We lead with capabilities. What can you do? What can you deliver? What value do you bring to the marketplace? Goods and services. But your ability to collaborate, partner, subcontract, and team is what will help unlock many of those. Okay. Next steps. Here's what I propose, colleagues. Your very first next step, in my opinion, is you should be reaching out to the G&E MSDC representatives to connect with the existing member businesses in your space. Okay. The members you all speak the same language, have the same hopes, goals, dreams, and expectations of being a part of growing, successful, and healthy businesses at all levels. The very first level of connection and collaboration should be with folks in your group, your membership group. So I would encourage each of you to find the folks that are in your space, or at least one or two concentric circles out from your space, and make sure you know them. You should know them and they should know you. These are your first opportunities. Okay? They speak the G&E MSDC language. That's the first group of people you should be talking to about collaboration opportunities. Large businesses and small businesses inside the greater New England area. Okay? That's the easy button. That's the easy button. So that should be, I would encourage you to, that should be your first next step. Now, your next step, please know we're going to talk about a couple of things. The first is, this is the first of the G&E MSDC Minority Business Development webinar series. Okay. Three more are on deck or coming. We're going to talk about small business government contracting and certifications on April 4th. We're going to talk about crafting competitive proposals on April 25th. And then we're going to talk about engagement, the actual activity of engaging with the government and the importance of capability statements on May 8th. Your company's resume and primary marketing artifact. Capability statement. Next, please know that the G&E MSDC has an agreement with yours truly for one-on-one consulting opportunities. They are available. Okay? Direct 1-hour virtual meetings with me. We can talk about all things government contracting. They are sponsored and scheduled by the G&E MSDC. So reach out to your representatives. And if you think there is value, there's an opportunity to unlock value by having a conversation, please reach out. I would be honored to work with you. And then number 3 is that if there are certifications, MBE certifications for one, Minority Business Enterprise certifications for one, any of the various G&E MSDC certifications that you've been contemplating, now is the time. Now is the time. Get all of your certifications. Whatever you are eligible for, do those now. Those are the differentiators in the marketplace. And be on the lookout for matchmaking activities and support coming from the center. Okay. It's coming. It's coming. They're already scheduled. I think they're on the calendar already. Okay. And with that, I want to open it up. We're going to do a little bit of Q&A time, question and answer period from now until the top of the hour. This is your time to answer questions. I want to give you a little bit of information. So if you ever like to reach out on LinkedIn. I'm connected. So if you're on LinkedIn, let's connect. But that's my telephone number and email address. For services, please reach out to your G&E MSDC point of contact. But from there, please reach out and be part of the community. I've got opinions on most things. All right. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing, and then we're just going to have a conversation.
Thank you, William. I do see there are 2 hands raised so far, and also there's one that came in through the Q&A box. So I'll just ask that one first so we can get that one out of the way. But for the Q&A, please raise your hand so you can ask your question directly to William. But so the one that we have in the Q&A box is, do you have to get certified as an SDV? If so, what is the process?
So no, the answer is no, you do not have to be, but I would encourage you to, if you have the capability to do so, that you do it. Okay, so the process is Small Business Administration from an SDB perspective, also known as the 8A program, 8A Business Development Program. Okay, the Small Business Administration handles that program. There may be resources inside of the G&E MSDC or the MBDA to assist in that journey, but that is managed and run by the Small Business Administration. So the small business, all you have to do is Google Small Business 8A program, take you right to the website, and you can take it from there and support them from there. And there are also third-party companies that will help you if you find yourself in need of assistance. There are companies out there that can help. But I would say first, try it yourself, just so you understand what's being asked of you. There's going to be a lot of financials that are going to be asked for. Okay, lots of financials, but most of those are covered by your business QuickBooks, your accounting reports, as well as your tax returns.
Thank you. Okay, so let's call on some people with their hands raised. Shantae Davidson, can you unmute, please?
Hello.
Hello.
This has been fantastic. And I actually asked both my questions anonymously as well. So my first question was about receiving the Small Diverse Business Certification, because I'm already woman-owned small business or WASB certified, but I fear becoming 8A, because once your 8A is activated, it's my understanding that 10-year clock starts to tick, and I just want to make sure I take full advantage of that status. So is there a distinction between the small disadvantaged business versus the 8A?
No, they are one and the same at the federal level. So I want to make sure that there's a distinction there. At the federal level, they're one and the same. The 9-year clock is actually is the time frame. Once you enter the 8A business development program, you've got 9 years to, as we say in the business, learn how to fish. Okay, because they give you a very special, I'm going to continue using the fishing analogy. They give you a very special lure and fishing rod to fish for 9 years. And that's designed for you to learn how to do it. But then after the 9th year, they say, okay, give me the rod and give me the special lure. And then you're going to have to, from the experiences of the 9 years, have created your own rod and created your own lure. But they give you a rod and they give you a lure to go fish for 9 years. So you use that rod and lure for 9 years, but it's designed for you to learn how to fish on your own.
Thank you. And can I pivot and ask a separate question? So I've just been reading a couple GovCon books, and I read a lot about sources sought being the lowest barrier to entry to government contracting. Do you agree with that? And do you have a strategy on that you can share?
Yeah, so yeah, I don't agree with the language. So I have a sense of what they're trying to say is that that's the first hurdle to jump, the first opportunity hurdle to jump. In my opinion, it's an easy hurdle to jump because when the government uses sources sought, and often they use synonymously RFIs, requests for information.
Mhm.
Those two tools, they are usually quite measured, meaning that the government says, give me 2 pages or give me 5 pages. They're quite measured in terms of what they're asking for. So in my opinion, it's actually the lowest hurdle. I wouldn't use barrier. It's a hurdle, but they are highly jumpable. Okay, so if you do the work and do the activities, and if you're interested in pursuing something, maybe one of the hours, if you want to go grab an hour, we could walk you through how to respond to a RFI, the strategy. And again, the government tends to ask for, and in the sources sought and in the RFI, they tend to ask for exactly what they're looking for, but there is a strategy to make sure that you can tell your story and get your differentiators up and out so the government can see them.
Thank you. Oh, yes, I've already reached out to Gary and I've linked you in. So I look forward to having a one-on-one session. I think the session was fantastic and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Raul Shah, can you unmute, please?
Yeah. Hi,
Hello.
William. Thank you so much. This is so informative. Thank you for talking to us. So
My
we
pleasure.
are an MBE company, and we do specialize in data analytics. And we've done one Department of State work through an RFP process. But there's so much out there. To your point, the numbers that you were showing was mind-boggling, and we just need a small piece of that big pie.
Yes.
So how do we go about? So first, right, what are some of the other certifications that we need to do? We are not WMBE, we are MBE, but are there any other certifications that we should be looking at doing? That's one question I have. And the second question that you rightly said is, teaming, partnership, subcontracting. We are open to that.
Yes.
And that to your point, it's the right exercise for eventually becoming a prime. But how do we go about doing that? I mean, there's so much, and to find the information, it's so difficult. So are there any set of websites that we should be looking at? What is it that we can do on our side so that we, to your point, that, hey, if some contract has been awarded and we think we can add value, or we can partner in and do the subcontracting work, we would love to start communicating and following that as part of our process of, pursuing those opportunities with the larger players.
Yes. So thank you, Raul. Two responses. You said it multiple times. It's a lot. And I agree with you 100%. It's a lot. So all of the time that I advise, one of the strategies I did when I started my business, and I advise all of my clients that I have coaching agreements and consulting agreements with, is to get hyper-focused. When you think about 692 billion, you're like, oh, that's so huge. All I need to do is just take a cup and
Right.
pull me out a cup of it. It's like, no,
Even
it
a
doesn't work.
spoon is fine. Even a spoon is fine.
Even a spoon. That's right. Even a spoon is fine. It doesn't work that way. What you have to do is define the areas. So here's the framework. Find who buys what you sell and how you sell it. That's the key. Who, what organizations, agencies, departments buy what you say the business you say you're in, who buys what you sell, and more importantly, how you sell it, because there are various different strategies that the government uses in various different offices and agencies to procure goods and services. You have to get hyper-focused. If you think about it as a large, big pie, the pie is too big for one person to eat. You want a sliver So if you have some insight into who buys what you sell and how you sell it, maybe it's someone local, maybe it's an office that you work for, maybe there's someone you have a relationship with. If you find an agency that buys and has enough spend, and you can go on USA Spending and find and look at the spend in the past and see what they've bought in the past. So that's a tool that can help you. Go find who buys what you sell and how you sell it, and then symbolically pitch a tent right outside that agency and
So-
start building relationships with those folks. Find 1, 2, maybe 3 offices total in the beginning to have a very focused and targeted relationship with. You have to get deep. You have to get very narrow, but very deep in building the relationship. If you're just throwing seed all over the place, then some of the seed will land in non-fertile ground. It'll be on the sidewalk and on the driveway. That those seeds will never sprout. You have to get very focused on your activity.
William, question on that, right? So
Yes.
we can focus on what we sell, right? And the counter to what you said is like say data analytics, right? It's not that it's not like a commodity where one agency would keep on buying all the time, right? There is, say, the way typically, at least what we've seen, is that there might be an initiative where they want to, say, embark on a new data analytics solution,
Yes.
or say new custom application solution, and once it may go for a year and then it winds down, right?
Yes.
Because we do implementation services or we do technology services. It doesn't, yes, the support can go on forever, but then it tapers down from a dollar value perspective. So, and the way we currently do it is we subscribe to paid services, which gives us the listing when the RFP gets floated, right? And then we narrow down the RFPs that we think we can support or we can do the work, and then we go after it, right?
Okay.
But then at times that RFP process, it's like the chicken and the egg. They look for, say, experience with, say, 5 government agencies and all of that, and we've just gotten started. So it's, you kind of don't qualify yourself in some regards to those RFPs, and we don't know who else, like some of the bigger players are going after it. So it's like then we are stalled. We don't make any progress after that.
Yeah. So two additional points. One, the RFP is too late in the life cycle of a requirement. If you're just seeing them when the RFP is dropped, someone's been looking at that thing for 3 or 4 months before then. You've got to go upstream. So the RFI and sources sought area is the best place to start planting your seeds, because at that point, the government hasn't made up its mind yet. They're just saying, oh, this is what we're thinking about. And you may have an opportunity to influence, partner with someone to influence, or see who's being influenced and partner with them. You got to go upstream, because by the time the RFP hits, the government has decided, and the way they decide is they've identified 3 or 4 people that can do the work already. Not saying that it's not going to give them to them, but that is the avatar that they're using for the requirement. It's like, oh, we worked through these people, we've gone through the market research phase, and we know these 3 or 4 people can do it. So by the time the RFP hits, it's too late for the new arrival. Has someone ever saw an RFP, hasn't done any type of capture activity ahead of that, won work? Perhaps. I'm sure someone on the planet has done that once, but that's not a very executable strategy long term, especially for new companies with finite time and resources. Got to go upstream. Go as upstream as possible, to include building relationships with companies that with agencies and departments will likely do this work before something even hits the ground. You've got to get upstream. For small businesses, for us, we have to use guerrilla marketing tactics.
Yep.
And our guerrilla marketing tactics are, you got to go upstream as far as possible, because we don't have the brand recognition of a Leidos or GDIT when the thing falls and it's like, oh, GDIT is playing? Yeah, let's go talk to them. They have brand recognition. When we don't have brand recognition, we got to use guerrilla tactics, and all the guerrilla tactics are upstream.
Understood. So no, that's an excellent point. And we've not been going upstream because we don't know the connect. So what you're saying is you got to map those players in the agencies that you narrowed down
Yeah.
and start talking to them. But do they talk to us? Like they'll be like, yeah, we'll go through the RFP process and you will know when the RFP comes.
You get a better chance of talking when nothing's on the street. When there's a requirement on the street, communication gets locked down.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
before then, you got a 50-50 shot. So I would play the odds.
And also, so agency is one thing. And going back to your point about partnering, should we identify the larger players like GDIT that you talked about, who excel or who does, who are bigger players in the government space, and then we reach out to them saying that, hey, here we are, we focus on data analytics.
Yes.
And if the next time when it comes, look at us, these are our capabilities, to your point about making a compelling capability statement and going to them and say, hey, we exist. And whenever this you win the business and there is a need for a minority partner, reach out to us, or we reach out to them during that time and start communicating and partnering with them. Is that one way to do it?
That's the one. That's probably the best way to do it. Because here's why I say that. Because GDIT doesn't publicize when they have small business requirements. There's
Correct.
no site that GDIT publicizes we're looking for small business. Do you know how they do it? They do it in their internal databases. They go look in their internal vendor databases to see who has been proactive about getting connected with them, wanting to do business with them. That's the first place they look. They don't publicize anything. They don't put it in the newspaper. They don't post it online anywhere. It's not like it's a monster.com, notification or Indeed. They don't post it like a job. You won't know it unless you're in their system. So what you have to do is find them online. All of them have vendor management folk, someone that's responsible, a VP or a director or something that's responsible for vendor management. And they tend to have vendor management systems so they can they ask for all of your information. So when they're looking for someone, that's where they go to look. So you got to be in the pot, or else if you're not in the pot, you don't even get an opportunity to participate.
And
Okay.
oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hog. Maybe William, I'll take the opportunity and set one-on-one time with you.
That would be great.
Yeah, thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right. So Bill Licata, you take yourself off mute.
Mr. Randolph, how are you, sir?
I am well, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for today. It was very eye-opening regarding the numbers and the money and the section. So I just want to say thank you for that insight. My question is fairly a quick one regarding prime and subcontracting. We're kind of always going after the prime. We're almost get there, but we don't get there. But I think the subcontracting regarding government contracts would be a great way for us to get to the dance. And I was just asking, is there, since we kind of go for the prime, do you think we should step back and try to partner and then go as a subcontractor? I just don't know what the ethics are regarding, hey, if we go for the prime and don't get it, then do we say, hey, we kind of fit these criteria and under certain categories, do you want to partner up? How would you suggest kind of, bringing that partnership together?
Yeah, so I think there's two answers that I have to that. The first is, if you don't have a agreement with a prime that you're going to be exclusive, then you get to play the field. Okay. So you get to play. However, so that's the first point. If you have an exclusivity agreement, I would honor the exclusivity agreement.
Of course.
If you don't have an exclusivity agreement, then you are open to hunt. Okay. Now, here's how I will say. To be a sub and to be a prime, both of those are going to take energy, activity, resources, blood, sweat, and tears.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to spend twice on one opportunity, or do you want to make a solid go, no-go decision that we are better positioned to be on one side or the other? That's
fantastic advice. And I think that's something the executive team will we'll look at. I'll end with this. Fantastic for today. I actually took a lot of notes, so I'm going to be going back to the executive team with some great stuff, and I won't take any more
Awesome.
time. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, we just have a few minutes left, so if anyone has any questions, please raise your hand. And I'll give it about 30 seconds or so. But in the meantime, please don't forget that the next session we have is Small Business Government Contracting and Certifications. It's Tuesday, April 4th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Oh, okay, some more questions. Mark Robinson, can you unmute, please?
Hello there. Thanks for the information. I have a
My
quick
pleasure.
question. If you get an opportunity to present with a big government agency, and we're basically applying for a letter of intent, which we have moved to the technical stage. But my concern is that we're a small minority business, and it looks like we might be partner up, or the government will partner us up with much larger companies due to the complexity of the project, which is R&D.
Yes.
How can a small minority company protect itself from working with much bigger partners, even if they are the prime in this situation?
Get a lawyer. My short answer is there are government contracting lawyers out there that are paid by the drink, so by the project. You don't have to get them on retainer, but go get you a lawyer to put you an agreement in place, or even more, if there's an opportunity to do a intellectual property lawyer, go get the lawyer to put you in place. Please don't take something off Google and change the words and think that that's going to satisfy. People forget, sometimes on purpose, okay? But people forget. Paper remembers. So paper your relationships. That's going to be my go-to answer regardless. It's well worth the $500,000 for 3 or 4 hours of a lawyer's time to get your deal papered. That $1,000 investment will reap huge benefits going forward. Because if something goes wrong, you would have gladly paid $1,000 not to have that problem. There's a way not to have that problem. Pay the $5,000, pay the $1,000 up front.
Now, if they recommend they're going to provide the attorney from the government agency, should we use their attorney or get our own attorney?
I'll let you make that decision. That's a degree, if that's a function of trust. Okay, and only you can make that assessment. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Okay, one last question. Grace Wilson, please unmute. Okay,
Grace, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. Yeah.
It could be a microphone issue, so I would suggest. Grace.
Can you hear
there
me
you go.
now?
Yeah.
Yes, I
Oh,
can hear
okay.
you now. Yes.
Yes, I was trying to thank you so much for this session. It was
Thank
really
you.
good. It was an eye opener for us. I just got certified for my GNCD. So my question is, if you are so busy, because now everyone is going to be booking you, how do we reach out to other associates who are like you, who can help us?
Well, I hope you had an opportunity to get my email address. So reach out if you can't find me, or if you can't access me, and I would encourage you to try that model because that's been sponsored already, also known as paid already. So that's a resource for you. But if you're looking for someone else, which likely will not be paid by the center, I've got colleagues. You know, I'm not I like to think I'm rare, but I'm not the only one on the planet. So if there are others, if there's someone that you're interested in talking to that has some type of unique characteristic or capability or experience, I've got a pretty broad network. So hit me on LinkedIn if you want to, and I can connect you with someone to help. But get all the help you can get for that's sponsored before you start going and paying. That's my opinion.
Yeah. No, of course I would love to get you, but you know when you call a phone and it's always beeping busy, That's what I was trying to.
I'm not that busy. I'm busy, but I'm not that busy.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
My
Okay, well,
pleasure.
so we are at time. Thank you so much again, William. As a reminder, this presentation has been recorded. It will be up on our YouTube page, and also the presentation materials will be shared. So please reach out to William directly if you have any questions, and hopefully we'll see you on April 4th. Have a great day.
Be well. Keep charging.